Chestnuts for Seamus Heaney. In the same season that he was born, but strictly by accident, the poet now insists, in the yard fronting on his boyhood home, from a seed in a jar, a tree began to grow. By now, if the world were a different, more immutable stage set, this mighty smith of words would yet stand with face serene and spreading hands, unbowed neath venerable boughs. But, as families often do these days, his sold the old house years ago. By and by, the life of that maturing chestnut tree, cut short by a resident who, that close to home, preferred a stump. The man who grew from those small roots, perhaps yet hidden under boggy downward and inward ground, stands astonished that he himself still gestures in an alphabetic breeze, a shadow that so far eludes the old saw. Yet in remembered shade, he basks beneath his natal tree, becomes it. Even now, scatters his own chestnuts abroad, proclaims redress. The imagined thing can be a counterbalance to the real thing. At 62, while charming and reading to a paying crowd of 3,000 at UCLA, recalls that Robert Lowell once counseled poets, why not tell what happened? Also notes that Dante's Inferno is full of people trying to tell exactly that. They have all of the intensity of a prison visit. His own work, written in the 1970s, he adds, arose out of the violence and danger and twistedness of the situation in that era of ire in air. Although he himself prefers to labor in a more claustrophobic upper room, this fellow now endures a skylight that his wife chose, contrasts the poetic and the prosaic understandings of things, acknowledges sharp counterpoint between the life that's being envisioned and the life that's being endured. So pauses as he reads the opening passage of his Beowulf, shrugs as if counting tree rings. In 3 or 4 lines, 50 years pass, which is pretty much the way it does anyway. The most acclaimed living Irish poet today, facile in English and Irish, translating Old English and Italian, is a scholar of whom others may whisper of many deep intertwining tongued affairs with exotic languages and letters. Yet now, exalted under the spotlight, he keeps to the middle course, eschews linguistic chauvinism, riles no trigger-happy border guards, finds nothing particularly more politically correct about any dialect. The master poet, solid, strongly rooted, stands sturdily astride the stage. Unlike St. Kevin, never spreads his hands skyward in grand gesture, lest he find himself called upon to uplift heaven or at least a few blackbirds. Seems to echo, that's all above my head. Looking back, simply sees new meaning layered upon old, that all language is entering further language. It opens backward.